How's it going, everyone? In this video I want to go over some new Elden Ring gameplay that has just dropped courtesy of Game Informer. 5 minutes of new gameplay. We'll talk about that. Scarlet Nexus developers would want to make a more mature sequel, but if they have the chance, they would make a sequel. We'll talk about that. Horizon Forbidden West gets some details coming from its 656-page PlayStation 5 strategy guide. We'll talk about that, and the Elder Scrolls Online High Isle expansion is launching June 6th for PC and Stadia, June 21st for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One. We'll talk that at the end of this video, but first of all, Elden Ring Exploring Castle Morn gameplay has just dropped. Game Informer has published this gameplay, 5 minutes of gameplay, noting Elden Ring features numerous mini-dungeon-like caves and catacombs to explore alongside giant sprawling dungeon crawls like Stormvale Castle. Castle Morn, nestled in southern Limgrave on the Weeping Peninsula, is a place where horrors abound. Creatures and other surprises await the player should they dare approach. While this locale would fall into the mini-dungeon classification, it's substantially larger than any of the minor offerings that I experienced during my 10 hours of gameplay, with a dangerous approach and several checkpoints. That's coming from Game Informer's Daniel Tack. The gameplay itself looks stunning, I do have to say, and 10 hours of gameplay in a dungeon is pretty ridiculous, and you see some pretty big behemoths in the gameplay video as well. Very fluid gameplay based on what I'm seeing as well. Visually, maybe some people are going to say, oh, it doesn't look like a true next generation title, but honestly, I think the game looks fantastic, and more importantly, from this gameplay demo, it seems to be incredibly fluid, which with a game like this, I think is going to be incredibly important, especially if I'm playing on PS5. I want a buttery smooth 60 frames per second, and the game is looking like it's going to be a great one. Again, I am not the biggest From Software guy in the world. I'm not the biggest Souls fan in the world. I'll always play the games. I'll have a good time with them. I'll beat them once and then be on my merry way. In the majority of cases, honestly, there have been a couple of Souls titles From Software games that I've gone and played a couple times, but, you know, I'm not the person that gets super into these games, gets super technical, tries to do, you know, no weapon runs or anything like that. I kind of just do what I'm going to do, my regular playthrough, and then I move on. But Elden Ring's a game that I'm incredibly excited for. I have said that I'm more excited for Horizon coming next month, but hey, that's like 1A and 1B for the majority of people, I would have to say. So, more gameplay on that, definitely go check it out. Looks quite good. Game that I really enjoyed in 2021 was Scarlet Nexus. I talked incredibly highly about it. It was one of the best JRPGs of the year and had a great story, great cast of characters. Gameplay was solid. Yeah, maybe it wasn't great that the majority of the story was told in a visual novel style, and maybe they did have some redundant areas and environments, but I think the positives definitely outweighed the negatives in Scarlet Nexus, and the game was great. And it is pretty interesting because director Kenji Anabuki spoke a little bit about the potential of Scarlet Nexus in a sequel, and he noted, quote, "If there is a sequel, I would personally want to utilize the superpower theme in areas other than battles. The world and settings of the story could potentially be created to suit an even more mature audience by exploring themes like the dangers of having or using superpowers." That's a pretty interesting way to go about things, and I do think Scarlet Nexus thematically, while I wouldn't say the game was completely catered towards a mature audience, I think it could easily take the fundamentals and the world of Scarlet Nexus and you can apply it to more mature themes and carve a more mature story, and Anabuki is speaking exactly that. I also spoke on a hypothetical sequel and whether or not it would be exclusive to any platforms. He just noted, "This is a personal comment, but I would like to support all versions of consoles on all platforms at the time the potential sequel is released." That's generally the thought process behind any developer. I mean, developers don't really care about what platform a game is being released on. They want as many people to play their creation as possible. The idea of exclusivity really comes from the business side of things, and, you know, it really doesn't do the game any justice outside of, you know, not making a game available on one platform based on it being weaker and it can't realize the technical prowess of the game and what it's going for on that side of things. But generally speaking, exclusivity comes from a business side of the agreement rather than the developers preferring one platform over the other. Like, there's no reason to put a game exclusively on the PS5 and not put it on the Xbox Series S and X outside of, you know, Sony paying the third party more money, or if, you know, it's a game that's not going to resonate on that platform. You guys get the idea, but developers want as many people to play the game as possible. So hopefully Scarlet Nexus does get a sequel. The game, from what I knew initially, didn't do that well from a sales standpoint. Like, it didn't do incredibly poorly, but it didn't, you know, it didn't do like millions and millions of copies sold. However, they did have an agreement with Microsoft. The game did come to Xbox Game Pass fairly quickly. Hopefully, they were compensated pretty well on that, and hopefully the sales were good enough to justify a sequel, because I think there's so much potential with what Scarlet Nexus put forth. I think you could easily do a Scarlet Nexus 2, even if you want to stick to the characters introduced in Scarlet Nexus 1, just based on the ending of that game. No spoilers. You could definitely delve into a follow-up title. There's things you could for sure do. So I'd like to see that come to fruition. Okay, moving on from that, I do want to note that Horizon Forbidden West has a 656-page hardcover art book. I believe it's hardcover. It's $50, so I would hope it's hardcover. Yes, it is hardcover. You know, strategy guides are kind of a thing of the past these days, but hey, for people that want them, you can get them as like a collector's item or something. I think the last strategy guide I got was for Final Fantasy XII on the PlayStation 2 back in 2006. But nevertheless, the strategy guide itself does note that during the entirety of the game, you'll hunt down more than 40 machines overall, and it's got 200 pages on the machines themselves. You'll learn how to evade every attack and always have the best strategies at hand to take them down, and that's a significant increase. I believe Horizon Zero Dawn had in the mid-20s of the number of machines, so over 40 is pretty solid, and obviously there's going to be machines that come back from the first game. I saw that there was a little bit of drama on social media over like reused grappling animations or something like that, and I literally just looked at that for a second and I was like, alright, yeah, moving on to the next one. But nevertheless, there you go with that bit of information on Horizon. Lastly, do want to note Elder Scrolls Online has been making some strides, obviously with Bethesda's acquisition. You know, maybe there was a little bit of concern on whether or not ZeniMax Online was going to continue supporting the game on PlayStation platforms, but it is going to be supported on PlayStation. The Elder Scrolls Online High Isle expansion will be launching June 6th for PC and Stadia. It'll ultimately be coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One on June 21st. This is looking to be a pretty significant expansion as well. Elder Scrolls Online's biggest release of the year, High Isle, progresses the ongoing legacy of the Bertrand storylines and provides 30 hours of unique story content. In the new chapter, you'll have the opportunity to dive deeper into the ancient home and experience a noble chivalric society on the brink of war. Again, that will be out June 21st for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and X1, June 6th for PC and Stadia. This is one of those MMOs that you can buy it and play it. They do have a subscription service, and it's like $15 a month. It gives you a decent bit of content, but it's not like that's mandatory or anything. You can just buy the game and then play it. So that is something to note. It does have some expansions, but I believe buying the game now gets you access to Morrowind right out the gate. So thought I would mention that as well. But that's going to do it for me. Again, Elden Ring gets a new gameplay in the Exploring Castle Morn gameplay. Scarlet Nexus developers talking about a sequel, wanting to do a more mature one. I'd be all over that. Horizon Forbidden West looking to have over 40 machines, and Elder Scrolls Online High Isle expansion dropping June 21st for PS5 and PS4. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.